episode of Kids and Mom. My name is Yele, and I know that today you're going to learn something new, fantastic, and inspiring. I have someone coming on the show today to talk to us about a particular career that will spice up your thinking. So, what I want you to do right now is to relax. Don't touch that dial, because we'll be right back with more on Kids and Mom. Welcome back. On today's show, I have a public speaker and a life coach to come talk to us about, you guessed it right, public speaking. Her name is Adetola Ogbebo. And Tola is a UK certified life coach and NLP practitioner. She holds a first degree in accounting and is an associate member of the Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria. A personal effectiveness coach, Adetola is an alumnus of the Olushola Lanre Coaching Academy, a member of the Life Coaches Association of Nigeria, a graduate of psychology, and a student of the cognitive behavioral therapy, mind and mindfulness. She advocates that a quest for better being and living a maximized life starts with the awareness and use of our potentials, because until we each accept, love, and embrace who we are, by focusing and growing ourselves, this potential will only remain unutilized. But we can live every day optimally by investing in our today, so that we can design what tomorrow will be, because we are all a piece of the puzzle which makes humanity better. Tola, you're welcome to Kids and Mom.
Thank you so much for
How
having
are you
me.
doing today?
I'm very well, thank you.
Okay, so what is public speaking?
All right, public speaking is talking to a live audience.
Okay.
It's about a person presenting a formal, speech to a group of listeners.
And what is public speech?
Public speech is making a formal presentation to people, and they are interchangeably used together.
Okay.
So, you can't.
Public speech is used by the public speaker.
Exactly. You can't speak in the public without making a speech, as it were.
Okay, so why do you think public speaking is important for children?
All right, so public speaking is important for children because they learn to grow up into confident adults. It improves their self-esteem. It helps them in improving their knowledge base, because you can't appear before the public without knowing what you want to talk about. So it affects and improves their decision-making processes. It also helps them in reasoning critically,
Okay. When you talk about, increasing their confidence, I thought that, growing up naturally would increase the confidence of the child. Are you saying that every child must be a public speaker to be able to have that level of confidence?
Okay, so confidence is not what will drop on anybody from the sky. And that's why we can see amongst children that some are more confident than the other people. So while, of course, everybody may not necessarily grow up to become a public speaker, but like I said, if you remember, what we said is it's important for them because it helps them to grow up into confident adults, so they'll be able to express themselves. When you have something to say amongst your peers, you are able to talk about it without feeling like anybody is going to shut you down or anything, So confidence is critical for any child, which is why at times you find that people grow up into adults and they can't really express themselves. Why? Because they have over time been shut down, therefore they can't be able to express themselves openly and freely, and so a lot of things that they would have become or that would have been used to their advantage now becomes a disadvantage to them because that was not harnessed in them.
Let's talk about children being asked to keep quiet.
All right.
Most times you have children who are very expressive, and then they keep telling them, "Oh, keep quiet, you're a child. Oh, stop talking, you're a child." What are the effects of stopping a child from expressing themselves? What are the effects that might happen to that child over time?
Okay, so over time, obviously, those children will grow up and at some point they won't be able to express themselves appropriately. Remember, in talking about why public speaking is important to children, I said it helps in building their confidence. It helps to improve their self-esteem. So if you keep shutting a child down over time, the tendency is that the child will keep quiet and wouldn't be able to express himself or herself. And in the long run, the person will be disadvantaged, because if you have something to say that will benefit the other person, you already feel like, I'm going to get shut down again. So you keep it to yourself. That means you're not even maximizing your own self, and therefore you're not even helping the other person to become a better person, as it were. So really, when you keep shutting a child down time and time again, that child will not grow up to be a confident adult. That child will not grow up to express himself or herself appropriately at times, and what it does is, you are indirectly telling that child that you are not good enough. You are indirectly telling that, and you are eating on that child's esteem. And at some point, it's a ripple effect. At some point, that child will grow up and will feel like, I'm not good enough. So invariably, you're going to have adults that feel like they are not good enough. They have poor self-image, and that's really going to be detrimental to the whole society at large.
All of these things tie together, but I want to ask a question about the extreme repercussions of making children suppress their feelings and not allowing them to be confident enough to express themselves whenever or however. Let's talk about the behavioral, extremities about children not being able to express themselves.
Obviously, like I said, then they probably grow up and they won't be able to fit well into the society.
So they have outbursts of anger?
Exactly, and they will not be able to control themselves, So at times, as a trained psychologist, you find out that people behave anyhow at times, and you see, most of the time, I'm like, look, this adult that is just behaving like this didn't just start behaving like this. This thing probably grew up with this person, and that's why this person is like this at this stage of this person's life, So on the average, you can't raise whole children if you yourself are not whole. And I think most of the time I say that's always like the 21st century problem of parenting, because you are also a work in progress and you are trying to bring up another life to be that whole person, So you find out that, so some people, they tend to, like you said, outbursts of anger. So at times they just keep to themselves, Why? Because they feel that once they express themselves, they will be judged. People will react to them wrongly. They've heard keep quiet, stop talking for 20 years, 25 years. So who am I now to start talking? They can't feel appreciated by people in the public, as it were.
So at what age should children be exposed to public speaking?
Interestingly, I think most schools now, from nursery school, you see them, they try to give them little activities to do or the other, So I think from 2 + 3 years thereabout, it's good, because the truth of the matter is nobody, you won't wait. Like I tell people, you won't wait until you're 20 years and you know that you need to go to school before you now start going back to nursery school or primary school, So at the times, you really can't determine where you'll end up, So it's better to expose yourself to as many opportunities as possible. So from 3 years, give them little tasks. They're in nursery school, just bring them and say, okay, Titi, come and talk about this, John, talk about this, and then little by little, infusing confidence in them, and they feel like, oh, I can do this, I can do that, Remember, we said that you must not shut them down. You must allow them to express themselves,
yes.
And ultimately, I guess from that age on, they'll be able to do that.
Fantastic answer. So how can parents now help their children with public speaking?
Okay.
Especially timid parents that don't really like to speak up in public and stuff, and then they have this very assertive, confident child who likes to speak. How can parents, and even the very assertive parents, how can parents help their children with public speaking?
The primary thing, or the first thing that parents can do, is not to shut up their children. As young as possible. They should encourage open conversation. You might not be the very assertive or outspoken type, but you must understand that your child is different from you, and you must not train your child to grow up just like you because you are some certain kind. You must understand that your child has a different personality from you, and your primary responsibility is to nurture that child with the potentials that that child has, and not just what you want to instill in that child, you know. So help them, don't shut them down, encourage, you know, openness, open conversation. Then you must model it, teach them and mentor them, because as a parent, you are a mentor to your children. You're a coach, you're a teacher, you are like everything. You are the first everything that they know before they begin to interface with the society, you know. So you must model it to them, you must teach them, you must encourage them. When you see that, okay, even when you see that this child talks too much, or this child is always gathered around people they like to talk, don't make that child cringe and tell the child you talk too much all the time. Nurture that gift in that child, because you don't know, maybe that child is going to be a great public speaker 20 years down the line. Yeah, you know.
Fantastic. Drop your comments and questions on our Facebook page. You can follow us on Twitter and on Instagram. So, are there activities that, you know, children can engage in to help them build up the skills of public speaking?
Okay, yeah, so I mean, basically they can volunteer. Okay. You know, yeah, they can volunteer maybe in school, you know. I mean, like we said, like we already established from 2-3 years, you know, in schools now, they're already, in fact, some schools have public speaking clubs or whatever that they can join, you know. So at the home front, what you can do as a parent or as parents in the house is you can maybe just have maybe a fun day or something, you know. Everybody's going to have like 2 minutes or 3 minutes to talk about something, and everybody just comes, you pick a topic, you know, just put them on the spot. Because the truth of the matter is, they're not just going to be a confident speaker 20 years down the line. It's in the little things that they do in the day-to-day. So you must help them nurture those gifts. Okay. Help them to nurture those gifts, and ultimately those little potentials that they have will become, you know, explosive in future when they're well nurtured. That's fantastic. So can you give us, like, you know, a few tips on how a child, let's say you're talking to a child, and this child has an interest in being a public speaker. All right. So can you give us, like, you know, a few things that you would say to that child, okay, to be like, these are the things to do to become a public speaker? All right. So I would say practice, private practice. Practice, you know. So you can get in front of the mirror and begin to talk and see what your face looks like. You can be 4 years and you can do that, you know. We all feel confident and comfortable with ourselves, okay, before we feel comfortable with other people. So that child can get in front of the mirror and begin to talk, you know, do your funny faces all by yourself to yourself, you know. As an adult, as a parent, you can nurture that child, you know. You can help that child to build and develop positive self-image, because at times part of the reasons why people don't feel confident talking in public is because they are scared of what to say, you know. So but when you have tutored a child very well, when a child reads all the time and the child is informed, then the person doesn't feel funny or doesn't feel out of place being in front of the public, you know. So those are little tips, you know, helping the child to realize that, look, it's all about you improving and growing as well. It aids your personal development. It improves your self-esteem and self-worth. That, look, doing this thing in the long run, you're going to be better for yourself, not just for anybody, but you're going to feel good about yourself, you know. So you can practice privately, because the truth of the matter is in little practices that add up to the big whole, you know. So, you know, practice privately. Practice privately. Read a lot, and volunteer. When they say something in class, don't shut down and don't think that they're not talking about you. Why? Everybody has the same level playing ground, you know. Just tell yourself, if this person can do it, then I can do it. I'm going to stand in front of people. Nobody's going to eat me or bite me or whatever. We all have eyes, one nose, one mouth, and everything, yes. You know. Just you know, like I said, positive self-talk can do this. Anybody doing this didn't come with this from heaven or whatever, you know. The gift is in you, and once it's nurtured well, you know, you can become a great confident speaker.
That's just awesome, like seriously. So, any last words or advice for kids and parents out there today?
Okay, so for kids, I would say see public speaking as an opportunity to improve yourself.
Okay.
It's an opportunity for personal development. It's not anybody coming against you or whatever. It's just for you to improve your self-worth. And for parents, I would say encourage open conversation with your children. Don't shut them down, because 20 years down the line, 30 years down the line, you don't know what that child is going to be.
Obviously, we are speaking publicly to a lot of kids
Yeah.
and your moms, but I also learned about the fact that I have to believe in myself.
Yeah.
Because if I don't believe in myself, then I will not be able to get other people to believe
That's
in
true.
what I am
That's
saying.
true. Absolutely.
So fantastic. Thank you so much, Tola, for coming on the show.
It's my
and I hope
pleasure.
that you can come again next time.
I'll definitely come back. I'll definitely come back.
All right. Okay, so in today's show we learned about public speaking, we learned about how to be confident, we learned about how to compose yourself in public, how to have something to say. And speakers are readers, and that's what we learned today. You have to be a good reader, you have to read wide, you have to read well, you have to practice. That is another key thing we learned today. Practice, practice, practice.
My name is Michelle Mansa. I'm a young actress and model. I advise them to follow their dream. If you know your talent is acting, singing, dancing, whatever it is, just follow your dream. If you know you're a creative person, you know how to do art, just follow that dream, just follow that place, and I'm sure you'll make it anywhere you are. Hello everyone, my name is Mansa Michelle, and keep watching Kids and Mom.
Welcome to Kids and Mom. How are you doing today? My name is Tokes, and on today's episode, I will be sharing with you kids etiquette with your friends. So let's go into it. Number one, use kind words. Use kind words. When you're with your friends, no name calling, no name bashing. Children have a habit when they're upset, when they don't like the way things are going, if it's not going in their favor, they may decide to use words that are not very kind. So it's very important that we let our children know that regardless of the situation or the circumstance that they find themselves with their friends, that name calling, name bashing is totally unacceptable. It is a no-no. Use kind words all the time. Number two, wait your turn. Children, they have a habit when they want something, they want it now. Waiting for your turn is a very, very key basic etiquette that every child should learn. Patience, like I always say, is a virtue. So when they are in a queue, for food or at a party or whatever time that there may be that they have to wait for their turn, it's very important that we teach them the habit of waiting, of patience. Because you know what? Patience is a virtue at the end of the day, and it's a very, very subtle and simple thing that every child should learn. Number three, don't make fun of anyone. I've seen some children who are mean. Yes, I have seen, I've experienced it as well. And so, letting our child know that we don't make fun of anybody, regardless of how they look like, what they wear or don't wear. We need to teach our children not to make fun of anyone, regardless of their size, their color, their race, or how they even speak sometimes. So, there you go. That's number three. Don't make fun of anyone. Number four, give compliments. My son, one of the key things he does that I so appreciate about him is always like, oh, mommy, you look nice. And the same extension should go to children, to their friends as well. When your friend does something nice to you, or you like their hairdo, or you like a brand new bag they brought to school, or perhaps they even helped you with your homework, I believe that it's very important that we teach our children gratitude. Gratitude is like a magnet for more. It gets results, it makes you prettier. So giving compliments, I believe, is a simple tip that would help our children develop their relationship with their friends more. Number five, I always say no shoving, no pushing, no kicking, no biting. When you're with your friends, regardless of what they've done, I always say to my son, I say, If anybody does anything to you that you don't like, just report to a grown-up. If you're in school, report to the teacher, tell to the dinner lady. If you are in the canteen and you are having lunch and something happens that upsets you, that makes you uncomfortable, always tell a grown-up. It's very important that we let our children know that they don't take the law into their hands. So no kicking, no shoving, no biting. Very, very important rule for children to learn. So that's all I have time for today on Kids and Mom. I hope you've enjoyed and you will put to practice these key tips that I've shared with you. Till I come back again on Kids and Mom, take care.
Okay, so we've come to the end of the show. And today's show we learned about public speaking, we learned about public speech, we learned the difference between the two, we learned about confidence, I learned about how to feel good about myself, how to love myself from the inside, and I am sure you learned a lot of things too. But one tip you need to take on today is practice. Practice, practice, and practice some more. So thank you so much for joining me today. I know you had a fantastic time as I had a fantastic time being here with you. Until I come your way again, same station, same time. From everyone here, it's bye for now.